When I did the news, I did the news. In other words, I didn't slant it. You know, because I'd like to think I'm never being rude. I'm never bashing the other side. There's none of this is personal. I got to tell you, some of the favorite years of my life have been, you know, when I was here doing the news.
A WLWT special, remembering Jerry Springer, a legendary Cincinnati politician, WLWT news anchor and showman.
He was one of the most recognizable personalities around the world. Brilliant, funny, and compassionate. Jerry Springer lived a life most people can only dream about. Of course, Cincinnati and WLWT were very much a part of the Springer legacy. Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Fuller. We lost our friend and colleague Jerry Springer suddenly on April 27th. He was 79 years old. He died a few months after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It's been said that talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. A look back now at the genius and legacy of Jerry Springer.
Okay, bear with me. This will be a little tough.
His raw honesty and humility were gifts that made him a beloved figure, from politician to news anchor and commentator to national talk show host.
I was determined to have you know that I was more than a check and a hooker on a one-night stand.
Gerald Norman Springer, born in 1944 in a London Underground Railroad station. His parents were German Jews who fled to England during the Holocaust, in which other relatives were killed. His family came to the United States. After college in the late 1960s, Jerry made his way to Cincinnati and worked at a law firm. He also always had a love for politics. He became a city council member, but his political career came to an abrupt end.
To be honest, a thought about ending it all crossed my mind, but a more reasonable alternative seemed to be, hey, how about just leaving town, running away, starting life over someplace else?
But Jerry did not run away from Cincinnati. He came back, was reelected to council, became mayor, and then transitioned into media. His newscasts on WLWT TV dominated the ratings for 10 years. His signature commentary became part of the Springer legend.
I can't possibly have given enough back, which is part of the reason I have been, so sad this week. Why it's so hard to say goodbye.
Of course, an entire generation will only know Jerry Springer from his outrageous talk show that even he admitted was not his best work, but it surely was his most lucrative.
Oh, I think it's the stupidest show on television. I mean, I've said that. It's fun. You know, it shouldn't be taken seriously. So, no, I know what it is. It's just, it's crazy. It's outrageous.
It's hard to sum up in a few words the full life of Jerry Springer. He had an amazing ability to connect with practically everyone.
You know how you always end your broadcast, take care of yourself and each other? Yeah, it's a wonderful thought, all right. Certainly the right and decent way to live. But you see, I didn't make it up. You did. God bless you, and goodbye.
Jerry's authenticity is really what made everyone love him. Mike Dardis and Cherie Palello are here now to share a few stories about his amazing popularity.
When Jerry visited the WLWT studio a few weeks before his death, he said he felt like he was coming home.
Now, at the time, of course, we had no idea it would be the last time we would see him. He said his years at Channel 5 were some of the best years of his life.
And even though he was a New Yorker and a diehard Yankees fan, this city loved him, and he loved Cincinnati.
Well, I think, first of all, I think authenticity is everything. And I've always found that if you just, good or bad, whatever your warts are, if you stay yourself, that translates to the viewer.
Many people have also shared stories with us about Jerry's loyalty. Despite all of his success, Jerry maintained lifelong friendships with many people right here in Greater Cincinnati.
WLWT News 5 John London has known Jerry for more than 40 years, worked alongside him here at Channel 5. He talked with others who share some memorable Jerry moments.
The memories leap from a table of photographs.
He loves singing, and he sounded good to himself.
And from the mouths of three who knew Jerry Springer well.
And trying to get him to listen to me was frustrating as hell, because he always wanted to tell a joke about something.
Tim Burke, Alicia Reese, and Gene Galvin.
He never abandoned me as a friend, even though I tricked him into ziplining because I wanted to ride the zip line.
They possess decades' worth of Springer recollections. Without him now, the stories pour forth like fine wine.
He told me a trick about the bowling alleys, too. Call them and say you want to page Alicia Reese. And I said, what?
The mentor with the then unknown candidate about name recognition.
When he was running, he's like, Jerry Springer, you have a call. So he said, so I used that in my first campaign.
Springer didn't try to be the catalyst for so many memories, just turned out that way.
Well, my dad was, a few years ago, was in Alzheimer's Center, and Jerry flew across the country.
Former Mayor Charlie Lucan recalling the Springer effect. Former Mayor and one-time Congressman Tom Lucan there on the left. There's no record of a fly on the wall.
And when he walked in my dad's room, my dad perked up and started talking like he hadn't for a year. And I was like, Dad, why don't you do that for me? But that's the way this guy was.
The word fun attached to Springer like superglue.
This is because he became a Harley rider.
He never seemed to let his serious side negate his playful side. The live remote interview dead mic trick.
If Al Shuttlecutty asked a question that was too tough, all of a sudden Jerry's answers were...
Of all the Springerisms from the interview we did with him 2 months before he died, this was my second favorite.
You know, after the news, we'd go down on 2nd Street or Mount Adams, and I remember getting up and singing with the menus, with the local bars there, and it was just such a good, and we were young, you know? It was a wonderful, wonderful time in life.
Wonderful's taken up residency in the minds of Reese, Burke, and Galvin when they reminisce now about their departed amigo.
He almost got us evicted from an apartment at one point.
As mayor, he raised money to save Union Terminal by cutting a record.
He rehearsed that for hours with my wife in our apartment and totally ticked off the landlady.
I said to him one day, why don't we go to Cuba?
Folk music was a lifelong Springer passion. He sought it out wherever he went.
Let's go to Cuba and see who their folk singers are of today.
The Springer Show did not air there. No one knew him.
We'd say, dude, you're like us now. Just walk down the street, nobody knows who you are.
On the Malecon, the seawall in Havana.
Full-throated Springer is singing this song. He drew a crowd.
Earth was his stage. At the wheel of his boat in Florida or ziplining in Sturgis, South Dakota.
And I said to this woman who was rigging people up, I said, and she knew it was Jerry Springer. They all knew. They were all up there shooting pictures and talking to him, and he's preoccupied. And I said, he doesn't want to do it, so you got to rig him up fast and then push him. A responsible zipliner would say, you got to sign this release. You got to, you know, it says here I might die, but you don't hold us.
Around tables full of memories this spring, the Springer stories magnify in importance.
I think he lived every day to the fullest, and I think that's, you know, why when he walks everywhere he goes, he's a magnet. People are just drawn to him.
Looking back on that late winter interview.
Do I have to pay for the parking?
Yes.
With no inkling of its hidden finality, these words stand out as my favorite.
I always tell young people when I speak to them, you know, when they're looking for careers, you've got to love your Mondays as much as your Fridays. Because if you just, you know, if you dread the idea, oh, I got to go to work tomorrow, it's just not going to be there. But if you can't wait to get in, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be fun, and particularly with the news, you never know what's going to happen. It's never boring. And yeah, I just loved it all.
Isn't that wild? Just a trip down memory lane right there. You know, John London and others who work with Jerry here at WLWT, they have many stories about the man behind the anchor desk.
And Ashley Kirkland got a few inside stories from one person who knew Jerry as well as anyone.
Well, from former colleagues to friends and public officials, the stories about Jerry Springer are endless. I got a chance to actually sit down with now retired WLWT sports director George Vogel, who worked with Jerry in the 80s and 90s. George says Jerry was a great leader in the newsroom and serious about the work, but he also says Jerry always made things fun.
He was just such a magnetic personality and such a force in the newsroom. And I think he had an impact on everybody that worked with him.
Cincinnati, with you who taught me more about life and caring and forgiving, and also, most importantly, giving.
Now, he worked very hard. Jerry was very serious about what he was doing here. He did the commentary every night and then evolved into him anchoring the newscast.
This is News 5 with Jerry Springer.
He put in a lot of time in his commentaries. It was so funny. He would come in with a blank legal pad, a long yellow legal pad, and start jotting ideas for commentaries. Then he'd walk around the newsroom and talk to people like, what do you think of this? What's this topic do to you? What's this? And every day, 5 days a week, him coming up with a different one. And it was something most of the city, if not all the city, looked forward to. At 11 o'clock, we would end our newscast with Jerry Springer's commentary, and it was definitely must-see TV. There was not a person in the newsroom or in the entire building that he didn't know. He would treat this person as well as his co-anchor. It didn't matter to him. He made you feel important. I'll tell you this, when I was first becoming a sports reporter, they had Dream Week in baseball, the Cincinnati Reds.
No, that's not Johnny Bench. That's Springer, Jerry Springer.
So they send Jerry down to do this, and they send me to go down and report on it. So I got to follow Jerry around at this Dream Camp, Baseball Dream Week, and he was as competitive. He was pretty darn good, too. I thought, okay, Springer's not going to be very good at baseball as a baseball player. He shocked me. Good hitter, good fielder, played second base, scrappy as all get out, and competitive. And he was so mad because one of the former Major League pitchers, they'd have this big game at the end of the week, and this former Major League pitcher struck Jerry out on 3 pitches, and he was so mad. He came back saying words I'd never heard Jerry say before. He was so mad about that. And we had so much fun down there.
It was great. This whole week was exactly what it's called, the dream.
I don't know anyone that says I had a bad experience dealing with Jerry Springer, that he took the time or he made you feel like someone that he had always known. And again, it didn't matter if it was me, just some little wet behind the ears sports reporter, but he would treat everybody, you know, the way he wanted to be treated, and that's the mark of a great man.
You saw Jerry balance having a little fun with the important role of being the #1 news anchor in Cincinnati. Here's a look back at one of his most memorable Emmy award-winning stories.
For 1 week, I had to live on the streets of Cincinnati, and I wasn't allowed to go home. I had to survive on the street, and I always had one camera person with me, so I had to eat. I remember standing in front of the Cincinnati Enquirer at lunchtime, begging for money.
Here in Santa Cruz, you will see no such scenes of mass starvation, of death and despair, the likes of which seemed unimaginable until we saw it last year in East Africa. No, you will see no such scenes here, but that's exactly the point. With work, we may never have to.
Jerry Springer traveled to many parts of the world when he was a news anchor at WLWT. He took pride in telling stories that were raw, emotional, and engaging. And maybe the best example of Jerry's storytelling happened right here at home. It was a 6-part Emmy Award-winning report in the early 90s on the homeless crisis in Cincinnati. He and photojournalist Robert Busby lived on the streets for several days to not only tell the story, but to also experience that story firsthand.
It's Tuesday afternoon, Playhouse in the Park, Mount Adams. The homeless aren't about to talk to people in suits and ties carrying cameras. It's another world. To get the story, I have to cross into theirs. I need a disguise.
Makeup artist Kelly Yurko weaves a beard around my face, adds bags around my eyes. I'm not tired, but I look it. I don a scruffy jacket and head down the hill with photographer Rob Busby and staffer Jim Conley. I have a sleeping bag and a few dollars. Good grief, what am I doing? Where will I sleep? 2 hours later, I'm at the drop-in center on 12th Street. I sign in under the alias of Charlie Silvera, then sit down to a bowl of soup. It's the kind of soup that you don't want to ask what's in it. I strike up a conversation with the guy down the table from me. He says he can't see. Rob turns on the camera.
I'm getting ready to go up in and carry me to the hospital.
You're gonna what?
Asking carry me to the hospital.
Oh, you're not feeling well?
No.
What's wrong with you?
I got sugar.
Oh.
And I can't see.
How long have you not seen? I mean, just today it came on, or?
No, it come on about 3 weeks ago.
And you don't see well at all, do you?
No.
I guess he has diabetes. I'm starting to see that virtually everyone I meet has some kind of a problem.
There are some folks who have a little bit harder time, and I think it's because they're struggling with one of many problems. They may have a problem with alcohol or substance abuse.
I asked when they shut the doors, and they say 11 p.m. The TV's on in the rec center, and people are watching the news. Someone says, "Where's Springer?" I can't believe my ears. I'm assigned mat number 115 in the sleeping room. Wall-to-wall mats, 3 by 6, one next to another, no blankets. It's a place to sleep, but I don't. Body to body, belly to belly, leaning against lost souls. Foul smell, someone throws up, and nobody's around. My middle-class sensibilities tell me that tomorrow night I'll find someplace else. The folks who run this place are really nice, but this is a shelter, not a home. When the streets are home, the futility seems to feed on itself. I'm wondering how in God's name can these people get it all together? Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "Beware how you take away hope from any human being." Here in Cincinnati in the last 10 years, we've torn down 1,000 units of low-income housing. We're taking away the hope.
You know, folks in Cincinnati still talk about Jerry's homeless stories. His colleague Robert Busby told me one reason the project was so successful was because Jerry had very good instincts as a legitimate journalist.
Now, Jerry's love for taking the stage and singing is almost as legendary as his commentaries.
Here's just one moment when the Beach Boys came to town and added another member to the group.
To a dance, looking for a mess, some hot water and soda, take a chance, Papa.
He had the moves and everything going on there. And you know, some of you might also remember when Jerry performed with the Hall of Fame rock band, the Eagles. Jerry leaves us with so many wonderful memories.
One Cincinnati store is actually helping keep Jerry Springer's memory alive for a great cause too, and it pays respect to his signature sign-off. Take care of yourself and each other. Cincy Shirts is selling a collection of apparel, including this shirt. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Tender Mercies, which serves homeless adults with mental illness.
Jerry Springer will be remembered for a lot of things, but his nightly commentaries were simply priceless. It seems fitting that we share a moment of some of his words of wisdom.
I'm talking about teaching in our schools from the very first grade the value of every human being, to care not just about ourselves, but each other, to never hit another human being, to never ever touch a gun or make unkind comments about another person's race or religion, to work hard and be the best you can be, but never forget to do whatever you can for someone else as well. And I know this ought to be taught in our churches and synagogues, but many of these kids don't go. And it ought to be taught by their parents, but it's not. So the schools from grade 1 have to start doing it.
And our political and community leaders have to start doing it. Our entertainers have to join the battle. Indeed, we all have to start singing the same tune, respecting every human being. Indeed, we've got to start teaching that in our schools. And it's more than just putting prayer back in the classroom. It's teaching values. Because if we don't, they won't have a prayer.
Cincinnati will have the chance to say goodbye to Jerry Springer. A public celebration of his life is scheduled for Friday, June 9th at noon at Memorial Hall. It is free, but you must have a ticket. Details on how to register to attend will be on our website, WLWT.com.
And finally today, from humble beginnings, Jerry understood that in order to make it in this world, you have to work hard and treat people with kindness. And when you stumble, you have to get back up and press on. One of Jerry's closest friends said he's irreplaceable and his loss hurts immensely, but memories of his intellect, heart, and humor will live on. The words to a song by one of Jerry's favorite artists, Linda Ronstadt, might be the best way to end this program. The song says, "We never know where life will take us. I know it's just a ride on the wheel. And we never know when death will shake us. And we wonder how it will feel. So goodbye, my friend." I'm Curtis Fuller. Have a nice day.